completely clean Drupal for us. So every time your class calls as a setup function, a completely new, empty Drupal will be installed. This Drupal will use nothing. It uses a default profile that should be in your Drupal, profiles folder in the base installation. This is a problem with the acquire installation because they don't have the default profile, only the acquire profile, so you have to create a default installation profile or copy it over from somewhere. So this is really a sandbox, and it means you have to install, activate every module you need to test, and there's nothing inside of our Drupal that is not really core based. So keep in mind that it can be very painful if you have complex testing, complex dependencies, you have to do a lot of stuff here. And you can create your own setup, that's quite nice. As I said before, if you leave the getInfo method out of your class, it will not show in the list, you can't run the test, but you can do inheritance now and do a real implementation. And then, as you can see below, this creates a privileged user and immediately logs this user in. So just using some OP stuff makes our life here quite easy, and we don't have to recreate everything for every test. I'll show you later what I mean, or maybe look at the CCK tests. They're quite easy to read and use a good base class as well, so they don't have to write basic field testing for every widget there is. Again, speed. Randy told me I should tell you that setup installs a new Drupal. So you can do multiple test cases in one class with just one setup call. If you don't need a clean environment to redo your test, it's recommended for speed issues not to use setup every time. Just do multiple tests in one of your test classes and do run setup only really if needed. Then this is a real test. A test is just a method in your class that starts with the word test and some string behind it. Simpletest will find them by this naming structure and then start doing the test. For example, this builds an array and posts it to Drupal, looks up some tests, and then scans some screen contents. Show this later. So this is a real test implementation. Then the API function. Okay, now I have to leave this. I hope it works. If you could look at node 265762, you find a much better documentation than I could create. So we just go to Drupal.org if this Mac lets me do this. So you look at the Drupal documentation of the API functions. The screen is always
Klick mal auf den grünen da oben.
What?
Ja.
Oh, magic. These are the documentation of the API function. So let's do a quick scan. I expect you are being deaf, so I expect you to read all the stuff on your own. I can't show you every function and you won't understand every function as I just go through them. I tried that kind of presentation, it was boring as hell and nobody understood what I wanted. So let's do a quick scan, then go on to assertions and what you can test as well, and then I show you the real test case. The internal browser, this is a main hard piece of simpletest. This is just post and get. If you run Drupal get on a path, the serial browser will use this path and load the page, plain and easy. This is immediately put into an simple XML object inside of your web test case class. If you do post, you easily can do post. Look at this example. Can you see the mouse there? Yeah, cool. This is easy as well. You just you use the field names. So name is whatever you enter name is male, status is false. You can just use text boxes. This is very, very easy to do and very straightforward. Just produce an array, fill in your stuff you want to test. It's really like you're looking at the node creation form, then look up the field names. This is a bit painful because on a big form you have to look up thousands of field names and all to put them all in the array, fill them with some reasonable stuff, and then send them to the browser and get some information back. Just to note, if you want to check multiple checkboxes, multiple radio buttons, I believe it's still buggy. You can't check checkboxes and radio buttons with simpletest. It is integrated, and you could use an array as value for name, mail, or status, but just won't work. Filed a patch some month ago. I don't think they added it, but you still can check it because simple XML, of course, supports XPath queries. I won't dive deeply into that topic, but you can still just parse the website in any way you want and can check this. So let's hope, maybe look up the issue and post something. That would be cool to add this. Boomer Tower isn't sadly here. Boomer Tower Jimmy Barry, I believe, is the maintainer. I'd love to talk to him. So yeah, let's hope sometimes this will happen. Click link, again, just plain function. This will look up and click a link on your page, loads the response into your internal browser, and then you can check the page. Quite easy. Then you have Drupal create user. This will be user, just to mention, the user has, every user created by this has its own group, so you have to set up all required access rights for every user you create. Can be a pain sometimes, so again, use OOP to do some base method to create users you need, log them in and out and stuff like this. This is basically easy if you really get a grip for this. Drupal login is a Drupal login process. So normally you would now have to go to the login form, put in the username, put in the password, submit and check the response if the user really is logged in. And yeah, Drupal web test case does this immediately for you. Log out, same thing. You just can call this method and log out. Create rule is new. You now can create rules. Maybe you need it. Really interesting is random string and random name. As described, random name is only plain ASCII. Values just alphanumerical characters. Random string is the full program, so you can try and create random strings with any special character you need. Basically not you need. That's the point about testing, and those random strings always try and use different characters with every test run you do. You can create content types, nodes by this, and run cron. That's basically the API functions that comes with Drupal web test case. Then you got those assertions. Now see, if you do a Drupal post, you just send it in node form. And you want to check if this really was successful. Drupal will give us a string from the node module. Node title was created. Now,